Hi, my name is Shawn Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of Twitter and YouTube fame, and welcome to Avatar The Last Podcasters. This week, we are going to talk about strategists in Avatar, not in the larger world. The top 10 strategists in the Avatar universe. But before that, Chris, I just asked you like 10 minutes ago, but second recording of the evening, how you doing? How you been? What have you hypothetically been up to this week?
I'm about to watch a new Superman cartoon, so that's fun. Oh,
Nice.
a new Superman was announced recently, so that's cool. Also,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, you don't know the actor, it's okay. Have you ever watched Marvelous Miss Maisel?
Uh-huh.
Oh, she will be the main character there. She will be the new Lois Lane, and I think that is some perfect casting.
It feels like a good fit without looking too far into it. Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds great. I'm gonna assume that I just keep playing Tears of the Kingdom, not with really an end goal in mind.
Ooh, I
I
beat it a week ago or so.
nice.
Probably the best finale of any Zelda game. It was freaking cinematic. The music was swelling. It was difficult in the right way. Um, great, great, amazing game. Still playing it. Like I'm just doing little stuff now. But
I find myself procrastinating in the main storyline. I just am enjoying the grind. Right now, I'm grinding for large zonite.
oh yeah, Lark.
Little duplication glitch. Some war machines
I have, I
like
have
bad
been
guys.
using the arrow duplication glitch when you go down in the in between.
Mm-hmm. The one I've been using for large zonite is that I will go to a refinery and I will use the ledge jump drop one, and then I'll just
Oh
use
okay.
that. I'll essentially use that 4 times because you only want like one in your inventory, and then you have to eat something before. But since
You
the
don't. Oh,
refineries
did
have
you? Oh, is that a 1.1.2
two, it's
glitch?
current. Yep, we're updated.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay.
you have to
Gotcha.
have an item in your inventory ahead of the large zonite that you can eat all of, right? So you want to drop one
Mm.
or two of those, get down to like one or two. And then you only want to have one large zonite itself. And then right in front of it, you have to have something with more than five or more items. So you jump off, paraglide, eat the
That
item,
is so specific.
hold. It is, and it seems the hardest at first, but it was so it's like it's overly complex in theory, but it's so pertinent to what I want to do because you can only buy 5 crystal charges at a time at a refinery. So basically, I
Hmm.
repeat, and there you can only leave 20 or 21 items on the ground at a time, right? So it has
Yeah.
limitations, but it's perfect because I do that 4 times, get big crystal charges, which is essentially one battery cell level, like 1/3 of a
Hmm.
battery cell, and then I'll go to the next refinery, and I do that like once a day. Um, so in a day, I'll
Did
get.
you did you turn off the did you turn off the auto update?
No, I didn't, and I actually
Oh,
saw the
go
last
turn
time
off the
I
auto.
played today that there's a new update, but the internet tells me
Yeah.
it's more content. Today's update.
Is it okay? I'm afraid.
I'm not going to do it yet, but when we switch profiles, that forces it. When Heather switches to
I'm
her
a,
profile to play, it forces it.
it forces. Oh,
It
yeah.
does. Afraid so. Yep.
It forces you to auto update.
It forces. It
Cause I switched.
seems to force an update when we switch profiles and she tries to load up the game. I suppose you
Huh.
could turn your Wi-Fi off entirely. Would be my best guess, and then it
Well, I
wouldn't.
switch profiles with my daughter pretty often, and long as you go to like the settings and you hit don't auto update,
And so
like
you can.
it'll always when we switch and we play the game, it'll say, "Oh, a new thing is available. Do you want to download or just start software?" We always hit start software so it doesn't update. But that first glitch, I did get auto updated, and wasn't able to like because that was like the easiest glitch. I was just like, "Oh, you just
I
jump
only
off a
got to
two
use that one
story."
a
And
few times before I got
yeah, I
updated.
didn't use them. My daughter got like 50 grand off of that glitch.
So, Chris, I don't need the money as much because I bought the fake amiibo, right? And so
Okay.
I'm at the point where it's giving me duplicate clothing, and those clothes that'll sell for, I don't know, it's like 500 or $600 a pop. The
Yeah.
you know, the trousers of Twilight and all that stuff. And so I don't really need that anymore because I just use these, and I have a very rhythmic pattern for getting through all of these, and there's like 38 of them. So gather goods to eat, to duplicate.
I like to duplicate bombs and like Lionel horns because that's the strongest attack thing. So I don't ever run out of a strong fuse.
I haven't had a need to duplicate bombs yet because I've just spent so much time in the underworld that I haven't had a need yet, but I'm sure it'll come. I love puff shrooms. I spend a lot of my Poe just on puff shrooms and bomb flowers. I'm sorry, puff shrooms? No, what's the muddle buds? Muddle buds.
Yes.
Those are so much fun, Chris. I do that just for giggles. I like to shoot the big bad at whatever little camp in the underworld with the muddle bud. And then I just use, he only costs 9 zonite to make. It's just the attack ally, I think is what he is. He only costs 9 zonite to make. And so I'll make like 1 or 2 of those, depending on how much. And so the big guy's attacking the little guys. And then I send 1 or 2 of those in, and they just attack everybody. And I love watching it. I don't know why. It's so chaotic. And then when it gets closer to the end, I'll use the Gerudo Sage. I forget her name. Her ability to run in, and it's my favorite gameplay cycle, my favorite game loop.
All right, well, that's
our avatar this week. Thanks for talking to us. Have a great week. We'll be back next time. No, Chris, let's talk about, it was a great week. I'm sure hypothetically will be. Let's talk about top 10 strategists in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Do you want to provide any context, or you just want to roll in?
Sure, I'll probably provide some context. So this is not the smartest. I was starting that list, but then I liked strategists better. This is not the wisest. This is top strategists. And I like to think of strategists, and Shawn can disagree with this. Things that I was thinking about was having strategy within fighting. So like a fighter might think like, oh, I need to move here to do this, get here. And also strategy is just within getting your own goals done, or any overarching strategy. So like, I need to take over this area. I need to move this chess piece here, whatever. Or even political strategy. So
it is gonna naturally, our brains want it to be mostly combat, and I say our, like Chris and mine specifically. But we tried really hard to be considerate of evil plan strategy, right? Like executing a grandmaster plan outside of just kind of combat and wartime. We try to be considerate, even though it's very tempting just for it to be kind of strictly combat. So we tried. And let us know where we erred and where we did not err. Chris, let's get started. Let's go with let me get my count right here. Let's go with number 10. Do you want to go every other?
We can go. Sure. We'll do honorable mentions second to last.
I always like it. I like the Watch Mojo thing. Okay.
Yeah. Watch Mojo.
I'll take number 10. I'll take the evens. So number 10, we have. Let me get this count right. We have Piandao, who is remains one of my favorite characters on the show. And I will preface this by saying I do have a slight bias toward extremely effective non-benders, and Piandao is among the best in that category.
The thing that stands out to me about Piandao is that he was like a top-breaking person in the Fire Nation military, even though he was a non-bender. The other thing that stands out to me is that when he was training Sokka, he was like in their fight, he would talk about strategy, like, "Oh, good job, Sokka, using your opponent's old age against him. Oh, good job, Sokka, you have the high ground." So like, you can tell he has a keen, combat mind for strategy. And if this could have easily been higher if we saw more of his use of his strategy. But really got like 1 episode, and it wasn't that combative.
In my head, I like to picture him as one of the main people in the White Lotus, moving the characters around their little tactic board.
Yeah,
that's number 10.
Number 9 is Chief Hakoda. Interesting number 9 here, because we got some ones higher. Hakoda, just like Sokka, was known to like make traps and stuff. He made that stinking sink thing to trap in people to use, that stinky smell to make them aboard ship. Not aboard ship,
Abandoned ship?
abandoned ship.
Hmm?
Yeah, abandoned ship.
Aboard ship. It smells
Uh,
bad. Here we
yeah.
gotta get on board.
Also, he helped make the strategy for the Day of Black Sun. Like that took a lot of military precision. Like, all right, go here, whatever, whatever. So he has some great military strategy. You don't see that much in the combat because we just don't see that much combat from Hakoda.
He feels like he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders for what he's doing. We have a lot of people that either from ego or just independence probably don't have the same sort of strategic pressure on their shoulders or pressure to be an effective strategist like Hakoda does. But that's kind of a wild conjecture. Number 8 is Kuvira.
Kuvira is. I wanted her higher, but Shawn took her lower. Kuvira, she shows strategy so many different ways. One thing, she is the leader of. One thing, she's the only one actually playing Risk. Like she has a
She
whole
really
map.
is, yeah.
She has pieces. Like, all right, I'll take this piece. Oh, this is the last piece I need. She is strategically thinking of how to take over the whole entire Earth Kingdom.
But she's playing Risk against like 12 smaller opponents that aren't united against her, like
Yet that's why she's so strapped. Like she's put in. She was strategic thinking enough to put in people that she could either manipulate or put their trust in her. They weren't just gonna, let the power that she had go over to some idiot. But Kuvira often saw strategy different ways. Like she purposely manipulated the situation to take over Zalfu. Like she planned a trap for Suyin to fall into, and then she could be like, "Oh, well, Suyin attacked me. Like she gives me no other choice but to take over Zalfu to somehow score her political points in a way that she doesn't just seem like the aggressor."
she's top 10 on our list, right? That's a compliment. She's top 10, top 8, as it were. There's just something about her plans that feels a little more superficial and linear. They don't feel as clever. They feel, I don't know how else to say it. They're kind of flat and linear. That doesn't mean they're not effective. She is very she grew up in an influential or with an influential family. She has a lot of support from influential people, and I just don't know how much credit I want to give to her, I guess.
Just putting down Queen Kuvira there, Shawn. But okay, whatever.
Fair enough.
What else can I add? I think the general sense of it. She was going to take over probably Earth Kingdom. Surface wise, probably makes up 70% of. I think that's 70% of the Earth. Yeah. So we're on number 7.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7 is, which sounds weird, that this person is ranked higher than Kuvira because it's just the statement. Number 7 is Sokka. Sokka is sounds weird saying Sokka is more strategic thinking than Kuvira. Like if they were playing a strategic game against each other,
Sokka is so creative, Chris. Whatever Kuvira thought that she would expect from Sokka is not what Sokka would deliver.
Thing is, it's not that I am underplaying Sokka. I just had Kuvira higher. I have Sokka pretty much right where he is.
It's a good list, man.
Yeah. The thing about Sokka is that he shows so much strategy on the fly, and it is out of the box thinking. Like when he was able to trick the Fire Sages into believing that Aang had already entered the temple to beat Roku. He came up with the whole strategy for Day of Black Sun. And then he came up with the whole strategy to take out the airships. Like that was strategy on the fly. Now that I think about that, maybe Sokka's right where he needs to be.
I can't get over enough. Like he's not taking pages from somebody else's book and doing it effectively. Like it's just coming out of his own brain.
Yeah.
There's not like an academic education behind it in any way,
True.
shape, or form.
And like when we get to other characters ahead, like these people have been trained to study the greatest strategists in Avatar universe history.
He is the last person on this list that probably lacks that kind of academic level of strategy.
Yeah, there's probably one. Yeah.
I don't even know which one you're looking at. I think they all would have some level of education in that regard. So
Yeah, I don't. It's funny because I don't think Sokka. I never imagined Sokka reading
a
a
book,
book.
yeah, same. Just ever.
He'll read a map, but a
Matt
book.
got
I
good
don't
picture. Yeah.
know.
I also listen. It's a little bit of a like non-bender bias here, but again, I just appreciate that his work is so original. Chris,
Yeah.
number 6 is Yoon.
Yeah, Yoon is interesting. I might have could have dropped him, but Yoon is one of those ones that was trained to be the greatest strategist. Like, and also political wise, he's one of the greatest strategists. And when he's talking with Jeonju about what they need to do to defeat Tagaka the Pirate Queen, but also still save the captives. He can strategize knowing like, all right, well, we might have like one or two casualties mats. Like one thing that's like cold hearted strategy, but then that's still a strategist. Um, he was also in the second Kyoshi novel able to kind of run circles around them all with different
A
strategies.
step ahead the entire time.
Yeah. So Yoon is definitely a brilliant strategist.
Trained by the best in the world.
Yeah. Now, I mean,
Sadly,
and
maybe,
it's
but
known, just hearsay, but it's known from different characters that like, yeah, Yoon is probably the second, not to spoil things ahead, but probably the one of the world's greatest strategists in that time. Like Kyoshi often plays down her own self because she's like, I'm sure Yoon would have came up with the strategy to deal with this or that, to take down the Yellownecks or to do this. Like he would have done this in a more thoughtful approach.
and they likened him to Kuruk in like just Paisho doesn't equate to strategy, but obviously that's kind of the name of the game. So yeah, good spot for him, I think.
Yeah. Number 5. People might not like how low this is. It is General Iroh. The thing is, General Iroh, he doesn't. We know he is one of the greatest strategists because people say that, and because he was a general for the Fire Nation. Granted, it took him 300 or 600 days to realize he couldn't break the walls of Boxing Fett. But they might have eventually broke it, but he was just like, my men retired and so forth. But people have called him like Admiral Zhao was like, hey, I need you on my side because you're a great military strategist. So without a doubt, he's one. Oh, I don't have Zhao in here. Oh, for good reason. Um,
Xiao's greatest
yeah,
strategy that he ever implemented was delegating.
He did go get the moon spirit, but that's more so luck. It's like, all right, I gotta go here, get this thing.
That feels very narrow-minded of him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Anything else to add about Iroh?
No. I mean, there's just not enough evidence to put him above the others we have listed higher than him. But obviously, he's Iroh.
Yeah.
He's great. Good work. He's a general in the most powerful military in the world. Like, got there somehow. Let's go to number 4. This is where I think the list starts to get kind of spicy in a good way. Number 4, we've got Zahir, who had the benefit of time on his hands, but he re-entered a world that he had been outside of for decades and in such a short
Yeah,
span of
I
time with
mean,
such a
how did they
brilliantly
learn how did they learn how to drive cars?
how
You
they
know,
didn't,
so
Chris. It's OP. It's messed up, and I won't stand for it. How
fuck this.
I won't. Yeah, he's probably got a certification hiding in his shirt the whole time. I won't stand for it. But just in such a short span of time, and in a way that feels that feels plausible, right? It feels good. It doesn't feel like it's rested on being OP and like. But him and three other people, essentially, basically, almost take down the entire like the biggest nation in the world in a
Yeah.
matter of, I guess, probably a couple weeks. Can we? Is that roughly the time frame we're
Yeah.
looking at?
Yeah. And Zuko explains like he says like one of them could take down a nation, but all of them is a threat to the world, and that has to be strategy in there. I mean, we've seen that when they went and kidnapped Korra. Like they were like, all right, we gotta go here and be quiet and do this. I got these people sneak in there. You don't think about one of the key things to strategy is communication. I learned that watching um, Doctor Stone. Great anime, Doctor Stone. It's a told you about Doctor Stone.
We've discussed it minimally, but I'm
Okay,
not familiar with it.
but they get into like this war. The premise of the show is the whole world has been each person in the world has been like petrified to like stone, and like this character named Senku, like he gets frozen in the stone. And he starts counting because like I gotta when I wake up I gotta make sure I know like what the day is and stuff. Like and he counts to like 2,000 years in the future. He just randomly gets unpetrified. He's like, oh, okay, it's the year this. Anyway, and he starts figuring out how to free other people. He gets into a war with this guy who's all about power and physical feats and stuff. But he wins the war because it ends up making telephones. So they're far into the future, like 2,000 years in the future, but like all technology has been wiped out. But he is so smart. He's like, I'm gonna bring technology back, and I'm gonna bring everyone back. He ends up making cell phones somehow, and like it's funny because uh dang it, what's that show with Adam Savage?
Mythbusters.
Mythbusters. One of the hosts from Mythbusters was like, "Yeah, all of that like stuff they do in the show is like real science. Like you can do that with all the stuff he does." Anyway, the point is, Zahir had communication skills because he could like communicate to the spirit world to other people.
I think even just like the trap he lays for Korra, again, is pretty much off the cuff. He didn't know he was, as much as being an airbender is extremely helpful to him. Like he didn't know he was going to be an airbender. He can't have implement like and especially an extremely powerful one. And I just can't help but think he had plenty of time to organize his thoughts, but he didn't know what he was planning for. As a brand new world, he had airbending at his disposal now. Probably unsure of the state of his comrades, right? There's no way he could have known that they were okay. They can't enter the spirit world.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, in my mind, he had, like, the most complicated sort of web of probabilities to account for. And he
That's
still
true.
almost
That's
took
a good
over
way
the
to put
world
it.
in a very short amount of time. So, that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, even him in the final episode to tell. I assume he told um, the waterbender Ming-Hua like, all right, we're gonna set a trap. Like you pretend like you have all the airbenders and they're all just puppets of yours. Then I'll catch Avatar here and stuff. He had to think a lot. These were whole plans to do all these things.
Hmm? Incredible work, Zahir.
All right, number 3 is Amon. Just got done talking about Amon. Uh, what there's left to say. He took over a whole city really with. You think about his strategies and stuff. And there's one scene where I was like, oh, this is like some Joker level planning type of stuff, like from the Dark Knight, like where he takes out all the city leaders. Um, because he is like that is some military strategy. All right, take out the leaders. What else can they do? Um, and then just the way he built, he built his army. There was a couple other really, smart strategic things he was doing. Another strategic thing he did was that he purposely never tried to kill Korra because he knew that that would trigger the Avatar state. And he knew that from listening to his own father's story about when his father tried to kill Aang, and that triggered the Avatar state. So he had a clear plan in mind that he almost succeeded in.
It's almost the opposite of Zahir, where I'm giving Zahir credit for having to plan for like a kind of infinite number of probabilities. Amon's kind of singularly laid out plan is just, it feels flawless, and
Yeah,
up
he didn't.
to
Yeah,
essentially the last episode, like it is being executed to perfection in a way that is very engaging. Like, it's not even frustrating as a viewer because he's the bad guy. It keeps you so hooked. It's, I don't know, it's just masterful. Even to I mean, we're talking about his own brother, like escaping the visage of his own brother being right under his nose. And so I don't know, it feels extremely meticulously detailed in a flawless way. It's one big
yeah.
plan, sure,
And
but
then and then you talk about the strategy of leading a revolution of like, all right, I got to turn these people against societal norms, and he did that pretty well. Like his plan, his end result did reach further to his goal of equality. Like Republic City now had elections. It wasn't just all right, whoever
it kind
power
of
to the people
worked.
now.
I
Yeah,
yeah, uh, the way in which he garnered his support initially, despite being just a terrifying specimen to look at, is, I mean, that's just step one. But I don't know, that season just had me hooked from the get go because of Amon.
yeah.
Number two is Azula.
Azula making number two to Shawn's dismay. No, I'm kidding. Azula, to put it plainly,
I would
make
have
it.
maybe dropped her a smidge lower, like maybe below Amon and Zahir, but that could be, not could be. That's probably just preference bias.
She took down the Earth Kingdom pretty much by herself. Like, and she did it. Azula is a character you see not just the strategy play out, but you see the manipulation. She uses manipulation a lot in her strategy, which is manipulation is key in in a lot of strategy, especially when you talk about interpersonal relationships. She uh, she makes Long Fei think he's in control, like which is that's some next level strategy there. To manipulate someone to think they're in control so they can do what you want for them. That's some mind games right there. And
Making
then when
it
it's
so
time to
like
finally
it
flip
seems
the
like it's their
switch,
idea. That's a
yeah,
mastercraft.
yes, yeah,
I
she flips the switch on them, and then she plays mind games with Zuko. Like, yeah, Zuko, you know what? It's your choice. I'll leave you to it. And she knows that
given
that
Zuko the
he
credit for killing Aang, that's huge.
yes,
That's
yeah,
messed up.
because then she knows that's gonna mess him up. That's gonna get him off his game. Uh, yeah. I
I
mean, long story short, she was able to do what other people couldn't do for years since the war started. She was able to do it with her and two other girls.
and hers, Amon, Zahir, Iroh, Yoon, we talk about like educated, and hers is certainly educated and academic, but her
Yeah.
best traits are not. Her best traits are just those kind of evil
Good point.
people skills that she executes so
Evil
masterfully.
people soft. Evil people soft
Right.
skills.
Instead of regular soft skills, it's a sharp edge soft skills.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, you know, she
What
could
is that
have.
book? How to make friends and inspire, motivate others. Whatever that book is called.
I don't.
You never heard of the book? It's like How to Make Friends and Inspire Others. It's some self-help book.
I've never read
Like
it,
hers
but
would
that
be
would
like
explain a few things about me. But I'm
her, her book would be like How to Make Enemies and Manipulate
and
them.
de-spire them. Oh yeah, manipulate. Yeah, that's what I meant. Listen, she
Sorry.
could have strategically selected a therapist at a younger age, and that might have been good. But other than that, kudos to Azula.
Yeah. The thing is, number one, number one is almost number one. Wait, we're not getting number one yet because we got honorable mentions to get
Oh
into.
yeah, let's do. That was a great tease though. Chris, let's do some honorable mentions.
Oh, such a tease.
That was a great tease. Yeah. King Boomy, that's a great honorable mention. You know, the way that he
Outside
told
the box thinking.
told him not to rescue him, right? Like going against kind of intuition,
Mm-hmm.
um, unexpected. It's very Sokka or more Sokka like in his
Yeah,
planning
it's
perspective.
such luck strategy. It's like, oh, an eclipse, perfect.
His
Like,
his
I mean,
feels more like a wisdom to me, like a practiced
hmm,
patience. But
it's like why would I fight against the Fire Nation? We can't win. We might as well surrender and stay alive, and the right time will come.
yeah, like knowing that the right time will come, like that kind of wisdom of being 110 years old or whatever, and seeing kingdoms rise and fall. And but listen, he's a good honorable mention. I'm gonna lazily throw these two into the same bucket and say Aang and
I think
Korra.
they deserve to be there.
Yeah, Aang and Korra
Yeah, I
together.
think these two probably show some of the most combat strategy. Yeah, there are certain scenes with Korra, like her Fire Nation, passing front at her fire bending test, where
Immediate
you
combat
see,
strategy, not like pre-combat planning, not like in the tent with the toys, but like live action on off the cuff combat strategy.
yeah,
They're very
like,
creative martial artists.
uh, like you see her do something boxers do. Like boxers would throw feints to make an opponent move a certain area, so then they can attack a different way. Like Korra in this fight, fire bends at him and throws. She's like in the air. She throws a fire flame at him, but it's not even that strong. But he thinks it's strong, so he blocks it, and then she comes in for a stronger attack. And then she also does this thing where she like trips a guy right as he's like with her foot. Like this is like in the moment strategy happening.
Um,
And Aang does that, a lot of times too. That's a lot of airbending stuff like that. Talk about like almost a toss like uh frustration, like, oh, there's no like, because she hates strategy almost. Like, there's no way to think about it. Like you and your strategies and tactics, and that's what Aang can do.
his craftiness that he exercises to cause the minimum amount of harm. It's a different kind of strategy, but
Yeah,
there is a harm, or there is like it's planned on his part or very elective on his part. Iroh 2, great inclusion, small sample size, very attractive sample size. He's a general.
yeah.
He had to get
He
there somehow.
he's the general of the United Nations. Like,
It's a big
that's
deal.
a very big deal. I mean, he thinks about strategy. There's just, we just don't have us. We have a really great sample size for his fighting abilities that made him the number one firebender in our list. But when it comes to like strategy, not as much.
Well, there's
There's
not
some
really
there.
evidence that he kind of pre-planned it. That would just like in combat strategy, but there's no evidence that he
Yeah,
like pre-planned any of that, so to speak.
yeah.
But yeah, good honorable mention. And last one that we have listed, I'm sure there's more. I always read it as Ken Jong. I can't separate it in my head. Jong Jong.
Yeah. Not much to say about John John, just that he was a decorated strategist. Like, I feel like specifically strategist in the Fire Nation. I don't know why, but I have that sense that that's what that guy said.
No,
He just had like a
I think he
crazy
literally
mind.
says that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Great
Yeah.
general and strategist or something. Like I'm slightly
Yes.
butchering the quote, but it's close to that.
Yeah, yeah. So there's more hearsay, but I say hearsay, but these are like factual things. Like it's not like some like, oh, he outsmarted 1,000 men. Like no, this is like a factoid.
Yeah, he's just giving a little bio on somebody essentially.
Yeah.
Chris, that's enough teasing. Give us the top pick.
Top pick number one is Master Jianju, who was Quirk's friend. He was also kind of the main one of the whatever. Um, he is like he does everything within strategy. Like we're talking about Azula having manipulation. Jianju has that. Like he has to manipulate so many people. Like if we talk about political strategy, there's no one better than him at political strategy. And then you talk about combat strategy. He can read a situation and assess it quickly and do the right bending to put him at an advantageous position.
Literally it feels like in the books, the author does a great job of making you feel like every single Jianju move is hyper calculated and almost never off course, right? Like even when he, I mean, spoiler alert, I suppose, but like even when he kills Kelsong, you think to yourself like you had to have a sense that he knew this was going to happen, like that he was prepared.
Oh, without a doubt. He purposely
imagine just like plotting, like just staying awake the night before, just like plotting, like, yep, gonna have to murder my best friend tomorrow, probably. You know.
Yeah, he tried to go behind his back and not tell Kelsong about his little test that he was doing between the two. But yeah, he probably knew like, all right, there's a 20% chance that me and him won't agree on this, and it might come to this.
Had to. Like I said, I'm going to give a lot of credit to the author. It just makes you feel like FC makes you just feel like every step that he is exactly where he intended to be and expected he would need to be, and just always has a hand up. And you don't get that sense right away. It's more as the story develops and you get the context of Jianju from other characters as it goes along, and he just kind of it's a really interesting character arc's probably the wrong word because he's a bad guy, but it's a really interesting way that your brain develops respect for what Jianju's doing. Respect's also
and you think
right word.
So one of his nicknames is the Gravedigger.
Awesome nickname.
Yeah, which is kind of a misnomer or whatever you call that. He, they say, oh, he dug the graves of like hundreds of Dao Fei members. And no, he didn't. He made them dig their own graves, and he just buried them. Like he manipulated them to killing themselves. Like holy crap!
Yeah, it's messed up.
And then he killed like his entire he killed a lot of his staff, a lot of noblemen, and almost killed his best friend just so he can take out his political rival.
I don't know if I have anything else to add other than awesome. The way that they crafted him as a character.
I would say this: the only thing he did, I was questioning, was like, what was his plan with Kyoshi?
Like, I think that's the only part of the plan that that he just didn't expect, I guess.
Well, he was probably like, all right, well, I'll figure that out when I get to it. But I first got to get to it. Like, I first got to get Kyoshi under my control. Then I'll figure out how I can properly make her the avatar she needs to be.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't have a good answer for that. But yeah, one step at a time. Like again, he's very manipulative. He just a certain amount of faith that, like, yeah, I will be able to coax her under my wing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like you said, the author does a great job, I think, detailing his thought process. Because he'll be faced with a dilemma, and he'll be like, I can do this, but this would be the best way to do this, or this would be the way to strike the most fear, and that's what this is needed right now.
very. I'm gonna say this is more Zahir like, where he's having to account for a lot of different probabilities, but he's doing so extremely effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great villain, tremendous villain, Jianju. Chris, honorable mention that I just thought of we didn't mention, Lauga. I don't know if that's worth.
Oh yeah, I forgot we were gonna talk about Lauga.
We're gonna HM
Oh yeah,
him
Lauga,
at least.
he probably deserves to be, but this is purely off of speculation because he's been around for like 400, 500 years. He's probably picked up some strategy. I mean, he does have strategy. He probably has as much.
The thing, we don't
Strategy
even
is like
have quite as
Dakota.
good of hearsay on him, right? There's not
Yeah.
like direct
We
sources
just have
we
like
have to go
his
off of or anything.
true. Our hearsay of him is like he is an immortal assassin.
Yeah,
And
just
that's the
not
not that
quite
he's
as
an
good.
immortal strategist, just he's an immortal assassin. Which is a freaking. I love that statement works in the Avatar universe. Immortal assassin, like
I mean, it sounds
it sounds
fantastic.
far fetched, but yeah.
Essentially, Chris, if you'd come join D&D for a Sunday night, you'd see that my character, his ambition is to be an immortal assassin. I'd like to think that was somewhat inspired, I'll say indirectly, by Lauga.
Oh, and that's Yang Jinao should be coming out soon. I haven't tried to get us free copies yet, but I might try and get on there so much.
You know, Chris, they probably know who we are. They probably just send them unprompted.
I doubt it. I think they would have emailed me like, "Oh, hey, do you want a copy? Not just here's a free copy."
No, Chris. They know us. Okay,
Okay.
Listen to me. Just kidding. Please request that for us. Hey, that's our top 10 strategists in the Avatar: The Last Airbender universe. We would love to hear your thoughts on who we missed and where they belong. And my name's Shawn. That's Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you can spare us any interactions, likes, subs, reviews, comments, whatever, we really appreciate when you can do that. And we'll see you next week. Have a great week. It's almost weirder when you don't talk during the outro. My voice is running out for some reason too.